what occurred as a soul knot. There was so much trauma that I think this mass consciousness sort of collapsed in on itself. And when it did, it was unreachable by the Confederation, the groups that were trying to help it ascend and get over its traumas. That's why they ended up on Earth, to go through the cycle all over again. So, Earth is a refugee camp, not only for the souls that have been pulled out of other star systems as they're going through their solar events to live here, or to come here and become a human. But they actually, over millions of years, have brought human beings from other planets while their star systems were going through cataclysms, or while they were dealing with Draco infestations and other AI issues. They would bring civilizations here on Earth. They would be here for thousands of years, flourish, and then when the time was right, they would take them and relocate them back to their home system. So the Olmecs were definitely here for a long period of time, and that's Mika's people. They were here during a lot of the problems that they had, which Beth mentioned they overcame. The Mayans were the same. The Mayans were here for thousands of years, and their group came back and brought the pure blood, as part of this experiment, 22 genetic experiments I'll talk about here in a minute. They took the pure bloods back to the planet and left a lot of the remnants of the people that had mixed with other cultures. So there's more than 60 groups that were in this Federation of Planets, and it matches very well with the Law of One. I was brought to a meeting while I was still barely a teenager, and I saw all of these different human types of ETs, and there are a few other types, but they were mainly human, very human. And the discussion was this experiment that we're all living in. And it's a vast experiment. And I served as an intuitive empath for factions of the SSP for these meetings. And one of the things that I hadn't really described before is many times admirals, intelligence officers, or other high-ranking scientific people that would have often had meetings or would have to go into new situations, they often had a favorite intuitive empath that was sort of like an assistant to them, but was really an intuitive empath and was assisting them in these meetings, preventing them from getting into dangerous situations. So intuitive empaths were very coveted and important to the brass. And the Confederation, as I said, is it's to manage this ascension program. Yes, most of the ET groups that are out there that are human-like are not Caucasian. They're not. If you watch movies, you see tall blondes with blue eyes, and the majority of them are various shades of dark skin, different heights, mixes of you'll see African American type mixtures with Polynesian kind, that just slightly different than what you would see here. There's just something a little different about them, a different type of human. So as I've described, there are 22 of these genetic programs, and they're more than just genetic. Some of these programs complement each other, and some of the ET groups work with each other on them, but some of these are competing programs in many cases, and ETs will sabotage. They will, let's say in the Middle Ages in Europe, they want to either kill off or change the genetics of a competing experiment. They'll go in and program a virus to have a genetic marker, genetic changes to the people that survive the illness. That is one of the big ways that they cull humans from their experiment, as well as make genetic changes. They do it through viruses. And also, to get around cosmic law, a lot of these ET groups will actually incarnate here. So a lot of people that are saying, I'm being taken against my free will, and certain things are happening to me from these ET groups, in many cases, they are that ET group incarnating here, allowing this to occur for them to get around cosmic law. Not in every case, but in many, many cases. And there were some cases to where ET groups, after they were done with their experiments, they were leaving, and the people that they were interacting with they die, they're killed. And we were thinking that it was something nefarious, they're trying to get rid of these people as they leave, but what they were doing is they were retrieving the souls, putting them back on the ship into another body, and leaving. They were just leaving that body behind like a container that they used. And we interpreted it completely different. We thought it was, they were destroying evidence or whatever. So a big part of this experiment, they would have to be among us, managing us all the time, if they didn't find clever ways for us to self-manage. They give us, social traditions and religions, to keep us, you can't marry outside of your race or your religion. All of these different types of programming were created from religion, different religions, and social conditioning programs to have humans self-police and prevent us from mixing with the other experiments. It's very much the start of much of the racism and war and strife that we have on this planet was programmed into us to prevent us from mixing and getting along.